What's up, guys? This is the Philosophical Doomer, aka Luplenia, and this is an update from the last time I made a video. The last time I made a video was about a rant about how school or education is just information. That was about like a month ago. But for the past, I wouldn't even say for the past month, but for the month in between this month and then the time in between this video and the last video I made, right, which is July. That whole entire month of July, I've been looking for a job. Like, this job market is shit. This job market is like really shit. So like I just been applying for like in the month of July I was just applying for like multiple different jobs in retail, automotive jobs, and I actually like stopped for a minute and I was like, well, I kind of like, I ain't gonna lie, like I stopped being lazy and shit like that. I was like, I gotta redo my resume, and I redid my resume and I made like an automotive resume and shit like that. I put my degree down there. I put my emissions, my inspection license down there. I put the various different labs we were doing at school and shit like that. And I went on ZipRecruiter. And started applying for jobs. I also like went on Google and shit like that to try to find like automotive jobs too. It's always best to apply directly on the fucking website and shit like that. And August, not too long ago, maybe August 2nd, somebody reviewed my resume on ZipRecruiter. They got back to me through my personal email, and before you know it, I went in there for the interview, did the interview, got the job. So this week that just passed, literally this Friday, that was like, I just finished my first week working as a entry-level diesel mechanic. So I actually got, I got hired for pretty much what I went to school for, or something similar to what I went to school for. I went to school for automotive. I was in the automotive program. I wasn't in the diesel program, and let me just say, like, this diesel shit, these trucks ain't no joke, man. It's like, it's like 4 different fucking, on a car, it's just like one compressor. It's one alternator. On these buses, bro, it's like fucking, it's like 2 alternators. You have one alternator that's like the size of the size of an alternator in a car, and then you have like a big fucking alternator in the back. You know what I'm saying? Near the fucking engine. You know what I'm saying? The AC compressor is big. With some of them, right? Or they have about like 4 AC compressors with different AC systems and shit like that you have to diagnose and shit. So I've been pretty much put under, I'm pretty much an apprentice now, and I've been put under this, pretty much a master tech that had 22 years, or around like 22 years of working on buses and shit like that. And I'm just trying to hang in there, man. It's been, this shit is definitely different. You know what I'm saying? This shit is, these buses are not cars. I mean, they're similar. And at school, they simplified it a lot, saying like, oh, it's the same thing, everything is just bigger. No, that shit is different. I think it's more complex than the car, in many aspects. But I've mainly just been hanging in there, trying to stick in there and do my best with that. And I know the money, like the trucks, the medium heavy trucks, that's where the fucking money is. Definitely where the money is and shit. So I got started off at fucking, because I really, you know what I'm saying, from my, previous videos, like, I don't give a fuck if I'm terrible with my hands, man. That's what I went to school for. I want to be a fucking mechanic. I'm going to go for it. I don't give a fuck even if I fail. And I was pretty much telling the guy, like, during the fucking interview, like, hey, listen, when I was in school, I didn't get, like, sometimes I got hands-on, other times I didn't get hands-on, right? And you know, when I was a kid, I was telling him that when I was a kid, I didn't really work with my hands a lot, so I might not be as good. So it might take time. And he was like, "I'm willing to work with you," and like I was saying in my previous video, last video I was kind of making, like, man, that degree didn't mean shit. Like, he didn't hire me because he didn't hire me as a mechanic, because I had the fucking degree. Like, when I went for the fucking interview, right, like, the first thing he said was, he's like, well, your degree's a plus because it kind of shows that you can finish what you start. But you know, anytime, right, somebody tells you it. Anytime somebody tells you something's a plus during an interview, it's not really a plus. It's more like, I'll take it as a plus, or whatever like that. He hired me because I was like, hey, listen, I'm not here, you know what I'm saying? I'm not here for the money, you know what I'm saying? I told him I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the experience. I'm here for the experience because I have no experience. I'm here for the experience. I told him I was willing to take $10 an hour. $10 an hour, right? Because I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the experience. And, you know, he was like, no, I don't want to pay, you know, during the interview, he was like, no, I don't want to pay you $10 or whatever like that. I was like, well, 15 at least. And he was like, I'll pay you 18, you know what I'm saying, right? But you have to produce, and then I'll move you up. I'll put your pay up. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what's been happening. That happened like probably like a week ago or whatever like that. And I went up there. They're a real old school company though, that like, because they gave me like I-9 forms and shit like that. And like at all the other jobs I had, all my fucking I-9 forms were on the fucking computer. Like, they gave me I-9 forms on paper, where I had to literally like sit down and like fill that shit out. So, you know, I did that and finished my I-9 forms, brought my information up there, my bank information, you know, Social Security, you know, all that other shit. And you know, now I'm hired, now I'm working there and shit like that. And like, and guys, let me just tell you, like, my listening skills, like, I mean, and the same thing was happening on other jobs, but like this week was like, this week was like, it was good and it was bad. Like on my first day, like, I was taking a fucking alternator out of a fucking car. And it was like, because, I mean, we did a lab on taking an alternator out of a car, but like, this is different from fucking school. You know what I'm saying? At school, you got like 10 fucking people surrounding the fucking car, and you really don't get hands-on. I only remember, when I was in school, I only remember taking one fucking bolt out of the alternator. You know what I'm saying? Where, so now, you know, I have a job and I'm working, or whatever like that, and I was taking the fucking alternator out, and I'm doing it, you know, pretty much by myself. And it took me hours, you know what I'm saying, to fucking take that alternator out. But I managed to do it. I managed to take the alternator out and install a new one. We was doing a whole bunch of shit, you know what I'm saying, like this whole entire week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been coming back home, my fucking clothes dirty, like fucking dirty, like from head to toe and shit like that. We had to clean out, one of these days we had to clean out the fucking EGR valve and shit like that, because sometimes the EGR valve can get pretty much like clogged up. So we had to take out the EGR valve, take it to the parts washer, and wash it out. And that's another thing. I never used the fucking, I mean, in school they have parts washers, but we never fucking used it. They just showed us, like, it's the fucking parts washer. So this week, it was my first time using the fucking parts washer, or whatever like that. And we had to wash the fucking parts washer, or whatever like, we had to wash the EGR valve in the fucking parts washer, or whatever like that. And then we had to fill it up, because the problem was, the EGR valve was, it was leaking exhaust gas. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much, and what was making it leak was all like the carbon and shit like that was built up in there. So we had to like try our best to kind of like wash all the fucking carbon out or whatever like that. Then we had to fill it up with water and see if the water would hold, right? Because if the water holds, that means the exhaust gas will hold. And we kept doing that and shit like that until the water was holding better and better and better. And we put the EGR valve back on there. We've been doing a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying? Today, because we do roadside, the company does roadside service too. They wouldn't send me out there because I'm a new guy, but I went out there on roadside service or whatever like that, and something was wrong with the battery. So they had me, you know, test the battery and everything like that. They were showing me pretty much how to do that. You know, you got, in automotive, you got different type of batteries, and we were using the hydrometer. And in school, I seen the hydrometer. We had hydrometers, but most of the cars we worked on were gel, right? So we couldn't even use the fucking hydrometer to actually really do a battery test. But a lot of these diesel buses or whatever like that, or the buses at the company I work at, they have the battery where so you can use the hydrometer on with the battery with the caps, right? So you pretty much take a cap off, you put the hydrometer in there, and it tests the gravity of the sulfuric acid to see whether the battery is like good or not. It's like a meter and shit like that on there, right? So they were pretty much schooling me with that and shit like that. But I'm just noticing, at the job, at previous jobs too. And it's part of the reason why I wasn't really able to keep jobs for very long. Like my listening skills are like really, really poor, and my listening skills are like extremely poor. I have to get really, really better at that. At listening. But like another thing is like the environment. I have to adapt to the environment. I'm fucking autistic and shit like that. And like being a mechanic, like you're going from one job to the next job to the next job to the next job to the next job, right? So it was like really, he was throwing many different things at me, and he was saying like, okay, you're new, I don't expect you to get all this or whatever like that. But like, I felt overstimulated, and then I felt overstimulated as fuck, right? But I still, like, even being overstimulated, I still did what I had to do and did my best and try to push through. And I really want the experience. I really want to stay at this job, and I want to hold on to this job for as long as possible. But it's just, I ain't even gonna lie, it's been hard. It's definitely been hard. I have to improve because I can tell the dude is getting, he keeps telling me, no, this is left, this is right. I constantly get confused with, when it comes to bolts, I constantly get confused with my left and my fucking right. I constantly get confused with that shit, so I gotta work on my lefty loosey, righty tighty, and honestly, all that stuff should have been really developed and built at school, but I barely fucking got hands on. I mainly got theory from school, and then that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? He pulled me into the office and shit like that. He was like, "You've been to school, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've been to school, right?" And because one of the reasons why he hired me, because I told him my theory was solid. I was like, "Listen, my theory is solid, you know what I'm saying? I got A's, I graduated cum laude. My theory is solid." And it turns out my theory is not as solid as I thought it is. And he says, this is a new test he does with all his entry level mechanics or apprentices, and he goes up to the board, and he draws a circuit, he draws a motor, right? He draws a ground, right? And he writes some batteries down, right? And he says, hook these batteries up, and in parallel, right? All right, now hook these batteries up, because matter of fact, I'm jumping ahead, right? First, he says, right, a battery has 12 volts, right? And he's like, well, how does the battery has that 12 volts, right? And I pretty much was like, like voltage, you know what I'm saying? Electrical pressure, right? Potential difference. That's what voltage is. And he kind of like smirked and laughed, like, I don't think this kid is really understanding the question. And we actually got around to him actually, and this is what I forgot, you know what I'm saying? Because in school you're going from class to class to class, you know what I'm saying? You're going to retain some of it, but you're not going to retain all of it. And then you're going, like, when somebody brings something up, like, oh yeah, I remember that. And he pretty much got around to like, no, like what makes the 12 volts is individual. So a battery is composed of individual cells, and each and every one of those individual cells are put in a series or whatever like that to make that 12 volts, or to make that 6 volts or 4 volts or 8 volts or whatever. We got around to that, and then he goes up to the board, he writes, he puts a motor up there, he puts the ground to the motor up there, he puts 4 batteries, right? 4 batteries. And he's like, okay, right, I want you to hook these batteries up, because that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? In a car, you have one fucking battery, right? But in a fucking truck or whatever like that, or a medium heavy truck, you have two, maybe even four fucking batteries, right? So it's different. You know what I'm saying? And he says, well, I need you to put these batteries in parallel, put these batteries in series. And I managed to put the batteries in parallel, but I forgot how to put the fucking batteries. I knew how to put when I put the batteries in parallel, I got it right, but I didn't know how to put the fucking batteries in series. I just didn't know how to fucking do it, because I was in the automotive program, not the medium and heavy truck program, or whatever like that. So I didn't know how to fucking do it. But like, if you understand, if you fully understand it, conceptually is the same. So pretty much I put the batteries together. I tried to hook it up to the fucking motor, right? And he was explaining, he was like, well, you got 12 volts here, you got 12 volts there. He was like, what you just did was you just blew up all these fucking batteries. You got sulfuric acid all in your face, burns everywhere, or whatever like that. And I'm like, shit. He's like, do it again. I did it again. He's like, okay, so listen, this is what you just did. You just blew up this motor. You blew up 3 of my modules, right? That's over 20 grand, right? That's 20 grand down the toilet. I'm like, damn. And shit like that. I did it again. The way I hooked the batteries up was right, but the way I hooked it up to the motor was wrong, right? So I blew the fucking motor again, right? And then we stopped, and he was like, no, see, this is what I'm showing you. You know what I'm saying? See, what they want to do is, they just want to get you through school. That's all they want to do. All they want to do is get you through school, right? He's like, my boss was like, me and, the other master tech I'm working with, he was like, me and him are going to be your best teachers, right? Right? He was like, you don't really notice, or you don't really understand this. He was like, and I don't expect you to understand this, right? Because I understand that all they wanted to do was get you through school. And right, and that kind of like goes back to my other video where I just say that we're pretty much the premise of my last video was that education is just information, is not knowledge, right? It's not knowledge, right? You have all this theory or whatever like that, or you have some of the theory, and you don't really know how to apply it. Once you learn how to apply it, then it becomes knowledge, right? That was like the whole premise of my last video. And me going through all that, I mean, it just kind of shows that you have some of the information. You have the information. You at least have some of the information, or half of the information, right? But you don't necessarily know how to apply it. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, you really don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, like, what was all that fucking time in school for? You know what I'm saying? For all that, I could have just went straight for the fucking job. But also, I'm not going to say that either, because, the theory does, at least you understand, you might not remember everything, right? But certain components, certain things, you do understand because you went to school and you've been trained and you've been informed, at least. You might not know how to apply that information yet. But you were informed on the various parts and how they work and different things like that. So, I mean, I guess school helps out in that regard. So you won't be completely fucking lost when he says, parasitic, parasitic draw or something like that. You understand what he's talking about? That the battery is fucking drained from all the accessories going on in the fucking car. Right, you understand that a battery is 12 volts. You understand certain things because you've been to school. Even if you might not remember right then and there, once he says it, it'll click like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I guess that's where school's like good for. But I wouldn't have did no fucking 2 years. I wouldn't have did those regular classes. I wouldn't have did those regular fucking classes. Right? I should have just took the fucking certificates and been out of that bitch. For real. But like taking the regular classes like English, math, and I aced those classes too. But it was just like taking those classes was just a waste of time. For all that, I would have just got the proficiency certificates and been on my way. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much that's what I've been doing this past, last time I made my video, that whole entire month of July, because I finished my last class like June 28th. So that whole entire month of July, I've just been looking for jobs, and I managed to land a job early this month in August, and this week, you know what I'm saying, this week that just passed, this Friday that just passed, that was the end of my first week and shit, and I have to show that, and I'm always showing initiative and shit like that. I just have to show initiative, and I just have to, if I want to keep the job, I have to show initiative. I have to start listening better. I have to start paying attention more, better. I just have to improve. I have to improve my righty tighty and, lefty loosey, and shit like that. It's only been the first week, and that's another thing, because he was on fucking vacation, and he didn't come back until like fucking Thursday, and everything was, I ain't gonna say everything was fine. There was some problems, but the very first day when he came back from his vacation, I started fucking up. He showed me pretty much the room where they dump all the oil and shit like that, and recycle and shit like that. I fucking, just real clumsy. I didn't spill oil everywhere, but I did get some oil everywhere, and I had to put some oil dry down. And I had to put some oil dry down to, pretty much clean it up. I overfilled the fucking, the differential oil. The differential fucking gear oil, I over fucking filled that. And then after that, they have like this go-kart or whatever like that. Now listen, right? From Monday to Wednesday, I was driving the go-kart perfectly fine. Once he comes back, I crashed the fucking go-kart into the bus. The go-kart is not completely wrecked or whatever like that. But the light, the part of the go-kart I hit the bus with, I hit the light came out, right? So the go-kart is still drivable. It's not completely wrecked or anything like that, but I just hit it where the fucking where the light is or whatever like that, and I pretty much had to fucking tell him after that. The other master tech I work with, he was like, you gotta tell the boss, you gotta tell him that you did it. And we told him and shit, and he was like, he's only been here for 3 days. 3 days, and yesterday I'm like, shit, I hope I don't get fired. I hope he don't let me go, shit like that. And I went to him, and the very next day, Friday, pretty much yesterday, I went to him. I was like, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm making a whole bunch of mistakes. I'm sorry. And I pretty much told him, like, listen, I will fall forward. I'm gonna fall forward. I'm gonna learn from each and every mistake. And he looked at me. He was like, "What did you do?" I'm like, all the mistakes I made yesterday. I spilled some oil. I overfilled the differential gear oil. He was like, "Oh, those are all like common beginner mistakes." He was like, "The only thing you did was crash the go-kart." He was like, "But I don't blame you. I blame Waylon, right? That's the other tech I work with. He was like, I blame him." He's like, yeah, I blame him, right? Because you only been here for a week, right? You shouldn't have been driving that car. So I got that all pretty much cleared away and shit like that. And as I was saying in like another previous video, dude, I don't give a fuck if I'm terrible with my hands. I'm gonna get better with my hands. I want to be a mechanic. I do. I at least want to do this for like 2 years, right? My degree was worth 2 years, at least 2 years and some change. Shit wasn't even 2 years, shit was like 2 years and some fucking change, because the way they run the fucking automotive classes, it was like 2 years and a half. So I'm gonna do this for 2 years and a half, or maybe 3. And if I don't make any progress or I don't get any better, I'm gonna move on to something else. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that if I do this for 2 years or 3 years, ain't no way I'm not gonna get any better, right? Only if you're bullshitting. Yeah, but pretty much, that's it.